History lost, decks past, but in this series, we revisit older decks to see if they can be brought back to the forefront of the meta. We'll break down what made these decks great, what no longer holds up, and how modern builds can give them new life. By exploring different variants and tech choices, we'll tune each deck to fit different playstyles. Let's see if these classics still have what it takes for meta teching. What's up, guys? My name is TechnoTuner, and today for meta teching, we're looking at Duston. Duston is one of those fun decks that really never got any love or support throughout the time, but it is a more of a control-based style play where it basically can lock your opponent from using any of the Dustons for Xyz, Synchro, or Fusion monsters. While this deck is very fun to utilize and very easy to abuse, it is fun to utilize nonetheless, especially for players that are looking for a more casual format. These decks that I'm going to be showing you are just some ways that you can play this deck and have a little bit of an interesting or fun way to do so. The main aspect of this is using House Duston effect, where it is destroyed on a card by an opponent's card, either by battle or damage or whatever, right? And sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect. Basically, you use that to summon as many Dustons as possible to your side of the board and your opponent's side of the board, which is going to be yellow Duston, green Duston, blue Duston, red Duston, and white Duston. Unfortunately, we cannot summon Star Duston because it does require a sending any number of Duston monsters you control to the graveyard, so it does require you to summon one, or send them from your side to summon it. So you can summon it from your hand. Now, what do each of the Dustons do? Well, blue Duston. When this card on the field is destroyed, banish one random card from its controller's hand face down until the standby phase of the next turn. Green. The controller targets one spell and trap that controller, return that target to the hand. Then we have red. The controller takes 500 damage. You can only control one red Duston. Yellow. The controller targets one monster in the graveyard, shuffle that target into the deck. You can only control one face-up yellow Duston, and then there's, of course, white Duston. The whole thing about this deck is basically just abusing this, forcing your opponent to use or have these on the board because they can't be used as material for anything, and be able to go into further plays, such as using Stardust on to beat over them and do more damage. But we're also utilizing other things, such as other Xyz monsters like Baby Trigon or Terragon, Giant Mimigul, Lyrilisk Nightingale, Blue, number 13 and number 31. All this stuff to really push home the damage aspect of the deck. While they are all level 1, the ones that you're going to be giving your opponent are the ones that can't be used for material, but for you, you're going to be summoning either White Duston or House Duston to really fill up your board and be able to push for extra damage. The other things that we're going to be utilizing here are Unexpected Die, Raigeki, Dark Hole, and Battle Mania. Battle Mania is a fun card in general for this deck because you can activate only during your opponent's standby phase. All face-up monsters your opponent controls are changed to attack position and cannot change your battle positions this turn. All monsters your opponent currently controls must attack this turn if able. So if you're playing in the Genesis format, this is going to be one of those cases where it's going to be harder for them to get rid of these monsters because they can't use them for any material and they cannot be tributed. Or no, they can be. Yeah, it cannot be tributed. So it also locks out ritual and tribute summoning. So they're forced to go to battle phase with these little guys. Now, the other cards that I'm playing here are Stygian Security and Jester Confit and King of You. Basically, we're just looking for level 1 extenders, but also the option with Stygian Security, while it has 100 attack, if this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, special summon one level 1 Fiend monster from your deck, which gets you into your House Duston. When this face-up card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, we've already went through this, special summon any choice or any Duston monsters from your choice from your hand and or deck to anywhere on the field, but you must special summon an equal amount on each, or equal number of monsters on each side. So basically with the 3 white Duston, you can special summon up to 3 on your opponent's side. You can also include a House Duston or 2, so you can maximize and put 5 on your opponent's side if you really needed to. But there's only 4 that you can technically utilize here, which would be yellow, green, blue, and red. Star Duston is the interesting one, where basically this card's attack and defense each become equal to the number of monsters sent to the graveyard for its summon, times 1000. Your opponent cannot flip or special summon any monsters or activate any set spells or traps on the field. If you control more monsters than your opponent does, destroy this card. So, that's where this comes into play, where you are going to start beating down on your opponent's monsters because you gave them Dustons, but you're going to then send your own Dustons to summon Stardust on, where it can go up to a 4K or 3K beater. And then you can utilize cards such as Gravity Bind to prevent anything that's level 4 or higher from attacking. You can utilize Field Wipes with Dark Hole and Raigeki. You get plenty of searches with Where Art Thou and Unexpected Die. But the other card that I haven't mentioned here is Diamond Duston. When a card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, special summon Duston monsters from your deck to anywhere on the field, equal to the number of those destroyed cards. If this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one Duston monster from your graveyard, special summon this card in defense position as a normal monster. Fiend, type, dark, level 1, attack 0, defense 1000, to your opponent's field. This card is not treated as a trap card. This effect can only be used while this card is in the graveyard. If summoned this way, it cannot be tributed or be used as material for a fusion, synchro, or Xyz summon. So going into Genesis, basically this is only 15 points if you're looking at this deck as a whole right now. That's the funny part about it all. While we still have a lot to go on with this deck, I feel like we can really improve it and either maximize the amount of damage we're going to do or incorporate other engines to best benefit, so we can set up either negates, interactions, or just ways to prevent our opponent from playing. So let's go ahead and hop right in to those other decks. So going off of the expansion of what I just said for the prior deck, we're going to be utilizing Mimigul here, because we're looking to basically give ourselves some monsters that can beat over our opponents, but also be able to wipe their board so we can give them Duston cards as well. In this case, we can utilize the Mimiguls as another level 1 material, or level 1 for rank Xyz 1 plays, which can further help us continue our push for further damage, while also giving us the option to nuke our opponent's board or rip a card out of their hand, which can really hurt them a lot. The other thing on this is that with Mimigul Dungeon, monsters you control that were not normal or special summon this turn gain attack equal to their original defense. Any player who controls a face down monster cannot normal summon monsters nor declare an attack with monsters that were special summoned this turn. So that can really hurt our opponent as well, because it can prevent them from really doing a lot or really interacting. Mimigul Maker allows us to reveal and search for 2 Mimigul monsters, where they get to special summon 1, we get to add 1. So this makes it a lot harder for our opponent to really interact, but we can also utilize the Mimigul Maker. If your opponent special summons a monster or monsters, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target one face down monster your opponent controls, change it to face up attack or defense position. So this can trigger our dragon or archfiend, whatever we really need to get us rolling. This also allows us to turn giant Mimigul out, so we can allow our Mimigul monsters to attack directly, so we don't technically destroy the Dustons, leaving them on the board, making it harder for our opponent to out. So this can make it a lot harder for them to really interact. The other cards that we have are Mimigul Throne, where we can special summon a Mimigul Master and then equip it with Mimigul Throne to basically make it a 2500 attacker, which is, or excuse me, 2800 attacker, because it gives us an additional 1000 attack. And then you can return all return cards from the field to the hand up to the number of materials this card had. So this can hit their back row as well, which can further help solidify our plays. We have in number 13, which is once returned during either player's turn, we can attach one Xyz material from this card. Change all monsters your opponent controls to face-up attack position. All monsters your opponent currently controls must attack this card if able. While you control number 31, Embodiment of Punishment, this card gains these effects. This card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects while it has an Xyz material. Your opponent takes any battle damage you would have taken from attacks on this card. And then we have number 31. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can attach one Xyz material from this card. Change all monsters your opponent controls to face-up attack position. Also, all monsters your opponent currently controls must attack if this card this turn if able. While you control number 13, Embodiment of Crime, This card gains these effects. This card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. While it has an exceeds material, your opponent takes any battle damage you would have taken from attacks on this card. So once again, turning your Dustons into ways to where they have to swing in and they're going to be dealing damage to themselves, but also if they have anything bigger to swing over the embodiments, it's going to deal damage to them instead, which makes it even harder for your opponent to really out. Now, while we're utilizing the Mimigles for more than just Xyz plays, we do get those interactions where we can utilize the gravity binds that we already had in the deck to further improve our chances here, because this prevents our opponent from basically attacking with level 4 or higher monsters. So this can really help slow them down, especially since most decks play level 4 or higher monsters to really go for extra damage. Now, there is one caveat to this deck. If you have a Mimigal monster on your side of the board, you can't send it for the Star Duston, and that's one less space that you can utilize for giving your opponent a Duston if you're utilizing House Duston effect. That's not a bad thing. There's just other things that you can utilize, such as Magicalized Duston Mop. You can only control one Magicalized Duston Mop. The equipped monster cannot be attributed or be used for a fusion, synchro, or Xyz material for the summon. When this card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to your graveyard, you can add one Duston monster from your deck to your hand. So basically, when it's flip face up, or if anything happens to the monster that your opponent is utilizing, and Magicalized Duston Mop is sent to the graveyard, you can basically get a House Duston from your deck to your hand, or a Star Duston, or any of the Dustons that you really need to continue your plays. Once again, while this deck is very helpful, it does have a little bit more of niche interactions where you have to play more defensively than offensively in the end. But that's all that I have for this version. Let's go ahead and hop right into our next and final version of Duston. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our final deck list, in which we're basically going to be going through and looking at Duston Yummy. While this is not a Genesis deck profile, it can be very easily edited to fit a Genesis deck, because you can then utilize your tuners and a Yummy monster to go into any of the Yummy synchros. This will give you extra bodies on board, give you further options to move forward with that and go into your rank 1s. For a lot of people that have seen Yummies, you do know and can utilize other cards such as Lollipo for banishment in your graveyard or shuffling opponent's card back from their graveyard into their deck. Cupsy is a draw one or add one depending on how it is summoned. Cookie is a pop one or lose 1,000 attack for an opponent's monster depending on how it's summoned. And Marshmallow is a free special summon if you control no monsters. All the monsters you control are light. So this is a free extender starting out. This can help you move through your plays pretty easily, being able to further extend and move forward with that. The whole thing on top of this is being able to utilize your monsters such as Yummy Snatch to get your field spell, Link Rebo to turn any of your Dustons or other level 1s into capable monsters to synchro summon to go into your Yummy plays, so you can get out more level 1s to go into Embodiment of Crime or Embodiment of Punishment, or even Lyrilisk Semblin Nightingale. You have a lot of options there as well. The other ones that you have are Relinquished Anima, and you also have Summon Great Almirage. Now, that is the one thing that I will note here, is that all the Dustons say you can't use them for Tribute Summoning, Tribute Summoning, Fusion Summoning, Sea Summoning, or Synchro Summoning, correct? Well, it never said anything about utilizing them for links. So this turns your level 1 or link 1, your level 1 Duston monster that is kind of dead in your hand into a link 1, which can further help you out greatly, which can further start your Yummy combo. Now, while you can minimize on this if you want, this is more of a battle phase lockout sort of style, to where you can go into battle phase, swing out for a lot of damage with the Yummies, but the Dustons also have the capability of locking your opponent from really doing anything as long as they're not playing links. So this can help you out quite a lot. Now, the other thing that I will state with this is that we are playing a decent amount of Dustons, which can lower our ratios and interaction decently. That is the only downside to this deck. While you can still modify it to incorporate 1-for-1, further draw cards, such as Extravagance or Prosperity, there are other options here in which you can work with. While this deck is still a lot of fun and is probably one of the more fun variants of Duston that I have done, where you're just trying to put out as many bodies on the board to get out as much damage as possible, whether it be through the Yummy combo or Duston line, you are going to be utilizing this very well to move forward and keep pushing for damage. The Yummies give you the further option to interact with your opponent, but also gives you the capability to keep swinging. So it doesn't turn really any of your Dustons into dead draws, but it does slow down your playstyle a little bit because it's not as aggressive outside of trying to set up House Duston and keep it protected until you want it to be destroyed. So that is the one thing I will state about this deck. It makes it a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but you do have to pay attention to some of the weaknesses because a lot of the Dustons are normal summon dependent, so that can eat up your normal summon or stop you in your tracks. Now, if you can get out another monster such as Jester Confit or Kinkaboo, or even Marshmallow Yummy, you can set up Yummy combo in place with your Duston combo, which is not that hard and is very fun to even do. The other thing I would say as well is probably incorporate 3 unexpected die, 3 white Duston, so you have further bodies to really incorporate and maximize on your house Duston. Because if you're able to summon 4 Dustons to your opponent's side and then swing with a 4K Star Duston, or even better, just go full Yummy combo where you have 5 Yummies on board, that's still going to do a lot of damage, and it's going to give you further plays as well because it locks them from really using their summons. It locks them from being able to really beat through your board, but it gives you more capability to OTK because all the Dustons have 0 attack. So it makes it even funnier when they're sitting there like, well, I can't really do anything, can I? No, not really. So this is something I would recommend for somebody that's looking for a challenge but loves to have a little bit of fun with it as well. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's deck profiles for the meta teching episode. If you did, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.